Hi, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 most common retirement mistakes that I see in people that come to me and they're trying to figure out the retirement. And I think these are the ones that you guys struggle with the most. And so today I'm going to share with you those ones and help you fix it so you can just get past it, start planning, and enjoy your retirement. So without further ado, let's get into why you're here today. Put your comments below and like and share this video. Okay, so the first mistake that I see is just around CPP and old age security. Your biggest question, or I think roadblock, is when do you start your Canada pension plan? And there's all kinds of different reasons as to or answers as to why you're going to take CPP at 60 versus 65 or 70 or any age in between. That the reasons are very varied. Sorry for the very varied, but often I find that it's not backed by math. It's more of a gut instinct of how you feel about CPP. Most of the time I see people wanting to take CPP right away because you've been waiting for all your life. We don't know how long we're going to live, so you might as well take it as soon as possible. And so what we do is we balance out your gut instinct and mortality in your family against math. So let's look at some of these things. The first point here is not understanding the impact of actually taking CPP and old age security at a certain age. Not understanding what happens in a retirement plan when you do that. And I'm going to share with you 3 different dates or times of when you take CPP, and you'll see the differences. This is going to help you to figure out when you should take CPP. How do you pay for expenses early in retirement if you don't have CPP coming in? So is there a private pension plan coming in? Do you have a non-registered account? Is there another source of income coming in? So most often CPP is a great place for people to start receiving money if they don't have other sources of income. So in that environment, you kind of have to take it early, right? How much money are you losing or gaining as a result of your decision to take CPP at a certain age? Do you know that? Do you understand how much money or the benefit, mathematical benefit of taking it at a certain age versus taking it at an early age, and how much you're going to lose in terms of adjusted income, inflation adjusted income? So it's really important we get this number right. And in every plan that we do, we share with you what happens if you take it at one age versus another, so you can compare what I'm about to show you, so you can see how the math lines up. Mistake number 2 is, well, this is hard, RRSP withdrawals. Many of you want to push off your RRSP until age 71 and then RIFF it and start taking minimum withdrawals. As you know from my videos, and I'm sure you've watched other videos on the internet, that people advisors like myself, experts like myself, are suggesting and recommending that you take CPP earlier and also do more than the minimum, because if you don't, you will leave money behind. If you have $800,000, $700,000, even $500,000 in your RIF, and you start at 71, guaranteed you're leaving money behind for Canada Revenue, because a RIF minimum will not cut through all of that money by the time you're passing. So it's important your withdrawals have to be greater than the RIF minimum. So the question then is, first one there, do you delay RSPs to RIFs at 71 and then take the minimum? Or do you delay until 71, then RIF your account, and then just do a RIFF Meltdown? So a RIFF Meltdown at that point will be from 71, let's say you live till age 85, for example. So you're just going to simply like as a straight line, you're going to divide the from age 71 to 85, divide that out, and that's going to be a withdrawal. You still have to account for growth and taxation, but essentially you're just trying to get out of your RIF by a certain age. So that would be a RIF Meltdown. Or do you RIF earlier and do the meltdown earlier, and that way your withdrawals are much lower and your taxes are going to be lower? So the question is, which one of those 3 scenarios works out better? Well, let's find out. I told you I would share with you how this works. Okay, so on the left-hand side are the metrics in terms of what are we measuring, right? And then you've got the first column scenario, which is a RIF Meltdown beginning at age 71, but taking CPP at 65. The second one is the same thing as the first column, but taking CPP at age 70. And then the last column is starting your RIF earlier and your CPP at age 70. So let's look at these results because they're profound. So lifetime personal tax, that's the amount of money you're going to pay in tax from today. So year over year accumulation of tax from today until you're passing. And in your plan, we were going to say, what age do you think you might live to? And that's how we calculate that. So lifetime personal tax, if you RIF at age 71 and take CPP at 65, you're going to have personal tax paid to CRA of about 1.3 million. If you RIF at age 71 and CPP at 70, you're going to pay more tax. Why? Because your income is higher. Remember, you're getting that 42% bonus by deferring until age 70. So higher income, higher taxation. But if you start your RIF earlier, so when you retire, start your RIF right away. In most cases, this works out for you. But delay your CPP to age 70, then you're going to pay the least amount of tax out of all of those. And you're going to get the most CPP and old age security. Look at that. At age 60, taking CPP at 65, 1.38. At CPP at age 70, your government benefits are 1.5, nearly 1.6. And delaying CPP at age 70, but starting your meltdown earlier, that's 1.7, almost 1.8 in terms of government benefits. And the reason here is, look at the clawback on the old age security. By doing the meltdown earlier, starting it earlier, and delaying CPP till age 70, there's going to be a window of opportunity where you can draw out more money out of your RRSP, or in this case your RIF. And then as age 71 hits, your RIF balance will be much lower, and so you're going to be getting through that RIF much faster. And because of that reason, you see you're not having as much old age security clawback. In the first example of taking CPP at 65, you have about a $200,000 clawback on your old age security. At taking CPP at age 70 and doing a RIF meltdown beginning at age 71, you have a $242,000 clawback. So that is the worst possible situation. And if you start your RIF earlier and delay your CPP till age 70, then you only would lose $43,000. So all of you who are thinking that you don't need the RSP money, you don't need the RIF money, you're going to wait till age 71 and then do your RIF and maybe do the meltdown, you are going to pay the most amount of tax by doing it that way. So get some help, get some advice, someone who, like myself, is going to give you this kind of clarity so you can actually build a plan that's going to save you a lot of taxes. For me, that's putting $200,000 in my pocket at retirement if I'm going to wait and defer my CPP at 70 and take my RIF earlier. I want the $200,000, right? Don't you? I think so. So that's money that's going towards your lifestyle goals. It's money going towards your kids, your grandkids. I mean, even investing it to grow your assets even bigger. So let's talk about financial assets. The financial assets column at age 65, you would pass away with $4.2 million in cash. In the RIF meltdown at age 71 and taking CPP at age 70, you pass with $4 million in cash. And if you RIF early and defer till age 70, you end up with 4.4 million. So you end up having more cash at the end of your life, pay less tax along the way, and you don't have as much clawback in your old age security. So when we look at the final tax, which is also important to see, final tax bill on your estate and how much money you're going to have, you're passing on, I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, 6.9, let's call it 7 million at the bottom of the page there, and CPP at 65. CPP at age 70 is 6.8, almost 6.9. And then CPP at 70 and starting your RIF earlier is 7.2 roughly. So it's a slightly ahead of all the other columns. So that third column of RIF earlier, push CPP and old age security off to age 70, wins the day in every category. You're going to pay less tax along the way. You're going to have more CPP and old age security. You're going to have less of a clawback on your old age security, and you're going to have a larger death benefit. So there's a reason why you want to understand those first two things that are the four big mistakes. These are huge, right? Because that's money in your pocket. That is a tax efficient withdrawal strategy right there that saves you a lot of money. I'll tell you, this is great evidence. And every time we show that to you, you're always astonished and you realize getting a retirement plan was absolutely worth it, because that right there pays for your plan 100 times over. So this is a good idea to talk with somebody about this. The third mistake is healthcare, assuming that your provincial healthcare is going to cover off everything. For those of you whose parents are still with us, you know that getting the kind of healthcare you need for your parents is really not easy, and you're going to be going, and I'm going to be going into that environment, and hopefully we have a great, very healthy retirement. But if you don't, how are you going to pay for all these things? So things like major dental work, therapies like chiropractic, massage, any therapy that you might need some kind of physiotherapy on, and unsupported medicines that's not covered by the drug plan in Canada for seniors, this is going to be difficult for you. And so do you have money set aside for that kind of work? Personal care workers, personal support workers. So this is very important. I have some experience in a woman that we organized PSW workers to come to her, 3 of them per day, plus food being delivered. It was a lot of coordination that's involved in that, and it's very expensive. And so do you have that in your plan? Do you have money set aside for that in your plan? So where are you going to be living in your late 80s? Who's going to be caring for you? And do you have the money to live in the way that you want to live? And the last one, an observation that I noticed, is many people want to downsize to rural communities because they want the peace and the quiet, tranquil retirement. And the question I have for you is, how close is emergency care for you? It's one thing to drive into the city to see your doctor and do these appointments, but in terms of emergency care, how close are you to emergency care? That's really a big concern for me. And so I always ask the clients who are thinking about downsizing to a community, please be sure that you know how emergency care is going to be able to get to you easily, especially in the wintertime in Canada. So just make sure you're not making that mistake and moving to a place where it might be too isolated for you. And the fourth one is not creating income sources with different tax treatments. Okay, so the RRSP program is the biggest source of retirement accumulation for you. And then now, since 2009, the tax-free savings account. Many of you in our generation still have employers that have defined benefit plans, so you're retiring with pension plans. So if you look at that, pension plans, RSPs, and LIFs, LIFs were liras, and then you convert them into LIFs, like an RSP is converted to a RIF. Those are all tax-deferred accounts. And those tend to be the biggest game in town for you in retirement. And what I'd like for you to do, anybody who is younger watching this video, is start to get a plan done sooner and start looking at how you can diversify your retirement deposits into different types of accounts, so you can have different types of income sources coming to you that are not all tax deferred accounts. Because the problem with that is every time you take $1 out, you're taxed. So if you could generate an income in other sources like tax-free savings account, like life insurance, and then in your non-registered accounts, look at different types of ways to generate income, whether it's capital gain or dividend income, interest income. You've got return of capital funds as well. Very interesting type of way to invest your money. These are called Series D funds in the banks, or just return of capital funds, which it's useful. It pushes the tax burden down further away from you, but throughout the middle part of your life, the tax would be zero on most of your investment income because it's return of capital. So there are ways for you to have different tax income streams, and I would encourage you to get a plan done so that you can figure that out. Okay, what did you think of today's video? Put your comments below, like and share this video. I have a question for you at the end of your video. What is your biggest regret in retirement? So what I'm looking here for is just sort of some of the things you look back on and said, I wish I would have downsized my home sooner. I could have used that money to help our kids or go on vacation and elevate our lifestyle. I wish I would have taken CPP early or deferred CPP early, or somewhere around your RRSPs. I didn't know that I should be taking more out of my RIFF, and now I've got this money left over. I'm looking for that kind of thing. I'm not talking about, I wish I had a different spouse in retirement. I don't want to hear any of that stuff, okay? So just give me what you think your biggest regret is, so that people can see, the people who are moving towards retirement, those of you who are already in retirement, can give them some really great nuggets for them to consider before they enter retirement. Again, thanks for joining me on today's video. I really enjoyed presenting this information for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, and be well.